Hey everybody! Today I want to show you some tips and tricks on how to get more realistic eyes in your paintings. For my supplies, I cut a piece of Arches watercolor paper down to just an example size for big enough for one eye. I'm using an H pencil, and then I'm using two round brushes. These are size 6 and 12. At the end I do use a size 10-0 for small details like the eyelashes. Alright, now that we have our supplies together, let's start sketching out the eye. And on this I like to start with the tear duct. It's really a good starting point to draw the top lid and bottom lid of the eye. So instead of rounding out that top lid of the eye, I like to kind of box it in, and it helps me get my proportions right and everything positioned where exactly I want it. And then later on, right before I start painting, I usually like to go in and erase things, smooth everything out, and get everything looking the way that I want it to. And when you do that boxing effect for the top lid, it helps you get that draping effect of the eyelid on top of an eyeball and get you away from that school age drawing of the big oval with the big circle and then the little circle for the pupil. So then now you're going to go in and you're going to sketch out the iris part of the eye. This part is a perfect circle, but what a lot of people mess up with is a lot of times in real life, the iris is cut off by that top lid. Just a little bit, but it is still cut off. So I like to go in and make a complete circle, drawing outside that upper lid, and then erasing what's gone past it. After I get that part done, that's when I start going through and really rounding everything out on the top and smoothing out that curve for the top lid. When you go to draw on your pupil, be sure that you box in a section for the reflection of light. This is going to help you keep that white space whenever you start laying your color down on your paper. Don't be afraid to erase and move things around until you get what you're looking for on the shape of the eye. So as you go to put the crease in, you're going to want to keep it further away on the tear duct side, and as you round over to the other side of the eye, just kind of move that line in closer to the original top lid line. A lot of people mess up on the eyebrow and positioning it where it needs to be. Some people will put it too far up or too far down. So what I like to do is just kind of double that space between the lid and the crease, and it gives me a good spot to set that eyebrow up on top of the eye. Once you're done sketching it out, then go over it with an eraser to get as much of that lead off as you can, because you don't want it to muddy up your colors whenever you go to start painting. Some watercolor palettes will come with a peach color or a flesh tone color, and they're really good to work with, but if you don't have that, you can mix yellow ochre and crimson red together and it'll give you a good base for your flesh tones. Now, either mixing your own base or using the peach or flesh tone that already comes with your palette, you can darken this by using blue, or you can make it more pink by adding a little bit more crimson red to it. After you get your light wash put down, you're going to start with two of the main shadows on your eye. So the first one is right up against the nose and eyebrow, and then the other one's going to be on the other side where it's a little bit more rounded. For this next part, it's just a lot of layering and blending and mixing in different skin tones. Sometimes I add a little bit of pink, sometimes I add in a little bit of a blue to darken up those shadows, but it's really just a lot of blending and a lot of layering. So for this painting, I really wanted to do a green eye, but eyes aren't just a solid color green. They have different hues in them, and with whatever color you're wanting to go for, I recommend finding a good reference picture so you can really pull out the different colors that are in that eye. Like with this one, I'm going to put some blues, yellows, and even brown to make it more natural looking. On this part, to get those lines that you typically see inside of the iris part, I like to put the color down and just kind of scattered lines everywhere, and then once it's almost completely dried, I come over it with a clean damp brush and blend it out just a little bit. So when you get to the eyebrow part, there's going to be several layers of color and textures to this. The first layer is going to be the skin tone, and then the second layer is going to be some very light hairs, but you're not going to do just typical straight lines all the way through. Like in the front, the hairs are a little bit shorter, so it'll be just little straight lines, but then you're going to have like these kind of curvy little lines throughout the rest of the eyebrow. Depending on the color of hair that you're going for, on this one I'm kind of going for a brunette color, so I'm going to start out with a dark flesh tone, and then the next layer of hairs I'm going to go to a blackish brown color, and then right at the end I'll throw in just a few black hairs. Another key shadow for doing eyes is the top lid is going to cast a little bit of a shadow on the eyeball itself. So you want to make sure that you don't forget to put that shadow up in the iris and even in that white part, which you'll see me do here in a minute. And I actually use a very light pink and a very light blue for those shadows. Practice your eyelashes before you put them on your painting. If you mess this up, it's going to be really hard to lift that black off of your paper. Whereas with the flesh tone, it's a little easier to blend it out or to lift it up, but the black is going to be really hard to fix if you mess it up. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to lay down the eyelashes and how they're going to be naturally, a reference picture is always really great to look at. Another thing I like to do to make the eyebrows look a little bit more natural is to glaze over them with a darker flesh tone. This is going to help you kind of smooth out those harsher lines for the hairs and cast a shadow underneath the hairs as well. I hope this video was helpful for y'all, and if it was, hit like, comment down below your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe, and when you do, hit that bell for notifications so you don't ever miss an upload.